to a dispute that collapsed the institutions, and Sinn Féin as government in the south were the guarantors of the agreement with the Brits impartially to work out a solution. Can't work. It can't sit on both sides of the table.
That's right. That's right. Though, as after a referendum on Irish unity, it doesn't necessarily mean that the institutions will stay the same, because we don't know what sort of a state it will be, whether it would be a unitary state. Some unions, I mean, Mike Nesbitt, for example, has said, you know, the unitary state might be the best because, in the Dáil, we unionists, could actually have more power over the government than if we were in the situation you're describing. So a referendum about Irish unity implies that there's likely to be change, in the form of governance.
Yeah, I thought about that, but Sinn Féin again, in a post unification situation, is the only party that's organised on an all Ireland basis.
Yeah.
So any block of votes that Unionists got in the north has kind of to kind of put a block on Sinn Féin ambitions would be Sinn Féin would have as many seats just from the north to match their own.
Yeah, I bet Sinn Féin, if this were to happen, and if there, for example, were a change which would allow Northerners to vote in the presidential election, they won't be the only party organising in the north. I bet Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil will also organise in the north in those circumstances, because they'll have no alternative but to fight Sinn Féin right up and down the country.
But they would have to establish a base.
Oh yeah, well, Fianna Fáil, 10 years ago with Brian Cowan, they set up a number of Fianna Fáil coming in the north. There was one in South Armagh, there was one in Strabane, there was a Fianna Fáil coming in Queen's University, and then there was a Fine Gael branch. So it's not beyond the bounds of possibility, but they would have to come north.
Yep. Just go back to the Northern Ireland Protocol for a moment, and thank you for all the time. Okay, I really appreciate it. Will the Irish kind of have an ace? By I mean that is, they have a Joe Biden in the White House who is very pro.
Yeah,
he may be the most pro-Irish president there was.
Yeah, yes.
He's so proud of his roots. He's still practicing Catholic.
Yeah.
He buys into the old ideas.
Yeah.
So
he
that's
surrounded himself with Irish Americans as well. I mean, there are big input like Richie Neal and Brendan Boyle and a guy called O'Malley. Used to be the mayor of Boston, I think, or was it Philadelphia?
He was governor of Maryland.
That's right. Yeah. So there's loads of people. You're right. He's surrounded himself with all these people. Yeah.
So if the Brits will be wanting a trade deal with the US,
that's right.
It has to kind of just grind its teeth, and that protocol is staying where it is.
You have to get past Richie Neal to get a trade deal.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not going to happen if they mess it up.
Yeah. Looking at the situation in the north, is the DUP, will it run on a platform that, if re-elected, and looking for a majority in 2022 to try to overturn the protocol? Is that going to be the platform?
Yeah, they will. It's the first vote is 2024, but the DUP will be arguing on that basis. I have absolutely no doubt that because they're not going to get it overturned. Even today, Secretary of State, having in the House of Commons said that, it isn't illegal to extend the grace periods, but at the end of his speech, he said, and the British government is completely committed to operating the protocol. So, the DUP are not going to get the protocol overturned. And for the reasons we've just been discussing, the British government isn't going to walk away from it because Joe Biden is going to be very unhappy. So, yeah, they campaign on that basis.
And so is there also a real possibility that in that election next year they could fail, they could be overtaken by Sinn Féin as first party, or will they be playing the card of you better vote for us or you're going to get Sinn Féin?
Yeah, yes, of course they are. Yeah. This is the way the DUP crushed the Ulster Unionists in the last election. Because Mike Nesbitt's slogan was he was going to cooperate with the SDLP, and his slogan was vote Mike and you get Colm Eastwood, so that they could cooperate together in the centre. The DUP slogan was vote Mike and you get Martin. They simply said, everybody vote for us or you're going to get Martin McGuinness as First Minister.
Yeah, that shouldn't work as well with Michelle.
They'll do that next year as well. That'll be if you want Michelle O'Neill, then vote for the Alliance Party or vote for the Ulster Unionists.
So, just finally, let me ask you about Scotland, which it looks that there will be a significant vote for a referendum after their elections next May, or this May. And Johnson has said he won't, if there were a referendum, he wouldn't recognise the results. Does this, so that if that's the case, his government and would, how to put it, his government would hardly say, I will deny independence to Scotland, but you know what, I'm going to call a referendum on Northern Ireland.
I don't see him doing that. I don't see him, I can't see them calling a referendum here before his general election, which must be 2024. I don't see them calling a snap referendum here because nobody knows what they're voting for. Yeah. I mean, it's just impossible to do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at it though in dynamically in terms of he would have to lose a lot of seats not to be re-elected.
Yes. He is going to be re-elected.
Yeah.
Because the Labour Party, having lost Scotland, the Labour Party really has got an impossible task to get back into government. Because they're going to have to win so many seats in England that just aren't available to them.
He has a majority of over 80 seats, right?
Yeah, how do they get 80 seats back when they have no seats in Scotland?
Mm-hmm. So even if he's re-elected, assuming he is re-elected, he still would be denying Scotland independence.
Yeah.
The final thing is he likely under those circumstances at some point to say, but at some point during my own administration now, I'm willing to call a border poll in Ireland?
It's possible. It's quite possible. Because, who knows the circumstances in 3 years' time, what the results in elections here will be. The wording in the Good Friday Agreement says, if at any time the Secretary of State thinks that, there's likely to be a majority for Irish unity, he shall call an election. So it's a requirement. So who knows, 3 years down the road. But in the meantime, I think it's more likely to have a Scottish referendum before there's a Northern Ireland one. Yes. The pressure from Scotland will be enormous. If for example, if the Scottish National Party win convincingly in May,